Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is a revisit on Marcel's lot part 3 where I tried to fix this PlayStation Portable. Now I was successful, I did get it working, but it had a faulty UMD drive, so I had to take a UMD drive out of a PlayStation 3000 model and put it into this one. This particular model here had a smashed screen, so I was trying to weigh up whether I should spend out all the money to get this one working when all the money I spent out is going to equal really what the thing is worth. So basically, I was convinced that, well, I knew the fault was on the UMD drive, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was because I thought it might be to do with the power of the laser. And when I was messing around with the potentiometer trying to increase the power, because originally I used the wrong screwdriver, I kind of dented it and then it just went like wrong. It just went wrong basically, and now it doesn't matter where I put my leads, where I turn the screw, it always reads, I think it was 3 or 4 mega ohms. So now no power's getting to the laser at all. But the original problem with this was that this thing wasn't moving. So the red light would come on and it would focus, the laser would focus as well, but it would just keep spinning and the games wouldn't load up. Now I wasn't sure whether it was to do with this motor down here or whether it was an issue with the laser, but I started messing around with the laser and that's where it went wrong on me, and then I mucked it up completely, and that's when I had to take the drive out of this one here. So originally the ohm reading on the potentiometer was 1.38 kiloohms. I upped it to 1.13 kiloohms thinking it might put more power into the laser, but it still didn't work. Now it was only afterwards I went to watch one of, so I finished up that video and I went to watch one of Gadget UK's videos on a PC Engine, and it came up with a PSP video, probably because I was searching for UMD drive problems on the PlayStation Portable. And I watched it, and basically he had the same problem where the red light was here, it would focus up and down, but this thing wasn't moving properly. So for example on my one, when I moved it all the way over to here, it wouldn't move back in. But yet when I took it apart, I seen that the motor was actually moving, because occasionally this would move. Also, when I turned this like this, after a few minutes I seen that this was moving. It's quite a slow process, but the more I turn this, the more it moves. So I was convinced that it wasn't a problem with the actual drive of this, because it is all moving freely. There was no breakage or anything like that. But on Gadgets UK one, all he did was basically get some tweezers and he just moved this in like that. And ever since then it started to work. So that made me get this out again and have a look at it. Now as of when I'm filming this, I haven't actually released the part 3 video yet, or the part 2 video, so I've had no comments from people saying what it is. I'm purely going by Gadget UK's video. If you want to see it, I'll put a link in the description below. So yeah, when I took this out again, I now notice that if I don't turn this with my finger, but if I turn it with, for example, some tweezers, or I'm just going to use the probe from a multimeter, 100% I can feel resistance. So hold on, there. I'm not going to be able to show it to you, there. So basically, let me zoom right in to see if I can show you it jumping, because it does actually jump. 1 second now. Actually, that will do there. Right. So when I do this here, right, there. It's grinding here. I don't know if you can see, it kind of goes shaky. You can see it's kind of like juddering. That's the word, juddering. Right. So here's smooth. Wait. Smooth, judder. I can feel it with my probe. Yeah. So that's why I couldn't feel it before, because with my finger's too strong, I can't feel it. But when you do it very gently, I can feel it juddering. So obviously I've already ruined this because I've mucked up the potentiometer, because on the potentiometer, when I put my meter to ohms, and when I go across here and here, it always just reads, I think it's 3 or 4 mega ohms. Is it even going to read anything now? Hold on, let's go between here and here. The contacts are so small, so this should be a short. Yeah, let's go between here and here. No, okay, so I've completely broken the potentiometer now, so it's not reading anything. So that's why yeah, that's why the laser's getting no power. So the last time I turned this on, the red light wasn't coming on. So things were still spinning stuff, but the red light wasn't coming on because the laser's getting no power. But luckily, I did take the reading before. So what I'm thinking is, I haven't got any potentiometers to change it out with. This is the actual potentiometer here, this tiny little thing just here. This thing here. But I've got resistors, haven't I? And I've got 120k resistor and I've got 150k resistors. So originally it was 1 second now, it was 1.38k. Good job I didn't put that in. I was about to put one of these in. No, I need to get a resistor which is just over 1k. Right, give me a minute. I've got this pack here from CPC, so let me see if I've got a relevant resistor. Right, it's a good job I spotted that, otherwise I would still wonder what was wrong. So obviously originally it was 1.38 kiloohms, so I'm going to put in a 1.5, so this is at 1k5. So if you have a look now, if I go between here and here, you can see 1.47, so we're 0.1 out. So let me just go on a few others, see if there's any lower, but I'm pretty sure that will be okay. Okay, quality control must be pretty good on these because they're all really the same, aren't they? Right, I might as well just go with the first one. Yep. 1.46, 1.47. So you can see it's very close. I haven't got a one that's exact, but that will do me. So my idea is, I know that before the reading came from either here to here. So basically here to here is a short. So if I go between here and here, or here and here, then this in theory should replace the potentiometer. So I'm not going to unsolder it because it's going to be too fiddly. This is on ribbon cable as well, so it's going to be easy to get it wrong. Now, I don't know how easy it's going to be to do, but I'm going to try to solder one end onto here, and I'm going to loop the other end round, and I'm going to try to solder onto here. Now I've got to do it so basically it's as close as possible to here, because this needs to move all the way over to there. And then what I'm going to do is, after I've done that, because this is going to be the hard bit, then I'm going to mess around with these gears here to try and make them better. There's no point in me messing around with that if I can't get this bit working. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do to begin with. Now I'm going to be doing this through the microscope. Also, it's too tiny really to see, so I'm just going to try to do it just off camera and then get back to it, and then we can mess around with these gears. Do you know what? I might as well film it, because what's the point of having a YouTube channel if you can't film it? So yes, it's going to take me quite some time. Yes, I might completely break it and burn it and all the rest of it. But to be fair, you lot are always quite forgiving with me. So let me just get you into a perspective of how small this is, so you can see my finger. All right, and we're dealing with this tiny thing here. So you can see it's so small. Now, I always say this, but when you're watching it on your big TV or your computer screen or even your phone, it's very hard to gauge how small these things really are. But honestly, it is hard. If you just ask me to wire up some old-fashioned 1970s toy with big solder joints on it, then do you know what? I'm confident now with my soldering iron to be able to do that. But when you're dealing with something so small and also dealing with a ribbon cable as well, it's very hard, because this ribbon cable will burn easy. So now what I'm going to do is just look under the microscope. I'm going to try to remove the potentiometer completely, because then it will give me more room to work. But you can still see the size of the resistor is huge compared to it, but by removing it, it will give me a little bit more freedom. So let me get my soldering iron warmed up. Okay, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of flux. I don't want to put too much on, because I don't want to be just cleaning that up. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put flux. I'm not putting it directly from the flux. I'm going to apply it via a little needle. So I've just put a dollop on my mat, and I'm just going to use my tweezers, and I'm going to put the flux on with that. Even that's still way too much. Now I've got my iron set to a lot less, it's just 350 degrees C. wow, that came off real easy. And now I've got to get the top half. This is harder because there's two to undo. I might have to use some solder wick on this. Excellent, yes! Really happy with how that came off. Brilliant. Well, I'm going to get some solder, tin up those pads. Also going to have a close look to see where the... Oh! Right, okay, I can clearly see through the microscope that that pad is joined with the one on the right hand side here. So you can see that that one and that one's joined. I just need to go between these two, or it'd be easier to go between here and here. Do you know what? I wish I had a little SMD resistor. That would be so easy. Imagine if I just had a little SMD resistor that was 1.38 or 1.4 kilo ohms or something like that. I could just place it on there and then it would be job done. Because I presume with the potentiometer they put it on so they can get the exact right reading and then put a blob of kind of glue in there or something to set it in place. But now if it was working at 1.38, that's assuming that obviously I've got a problem with the rail moving along. But if it was working at 1.38, then by putting in a 1.38, is that not just the same as having the potentiometer in there? I hope I'm right here. I hope I haven't got this completely wrong. Because right now I actually feel quite hopeful that this might work. Right, so let's put some solder on the pads. Nice lump there. Nice lump there. Excellent, that went really well. Put a bigger lump. Right, so far so good. Do you know what? I love the microscope. I was told for ages to get a microscope. And I sort of thought, yeah, would it make much difference? But oh, it's just unbelievable. And I haven't got bad eyesight. That's one thing I have got, is very good eyesight. And yeah, it just makes it so much easier. Right, so I'm just going to find the right place to put this. That's massive. What I've got is, I can't have it shorten against anything else. This is actually quite hard because of the size of the resistor. I'm having to dodge the capacitors. There's also a resistor below here. I'm getting there though. I think I've nearly got it to shape. Right, if I can solder that there, that is perfect. The problem is I'm going to have to solder with my left hand. Right, let's try and get one leg on anyway. I think that might be it. I just got to make sure it doesn't short against this pad here, otherwise it's going to be a direct short between the bit that I want the resistance between. You know, I can't have this pad shorting with the pad under here. And these leads are just so big. Mind you, look, it's, do you know what? They're both soldered on. They are both soldered on. I'm going to see if I can get a bit of Captain tape to shove under that to cover up that pad. And then, this might well work. I wonder now, is it going to foul when I go all the way over here? So now I'm going to have to try to bend it up, but in doing that I might end up bending the pads. This is so small. Right, that is free there, but again I've got to make sure that it doesn't short against this metal case in here. And now that's touching against that capacitor here. Amazingly, it's not actually shorting against anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up now, and then I'm going to I'm going to put some Kapton tape, but I need to get rid of all the flux first of all, and then I'm going to put some Kapton tape under it. But before I do that, I am going to measure across the pads just to see if it's a dead short. If it's a dead short, I know that this leg here is shorting against a pad underneath, but it doesn't look to be. Now I know the sensible thing to do would be just to see if I can order up an SMD resistor, but this is the problem with me. I always, when I've got something on my mind, I want to do it there and then, even though I know it would be a better job to have the SMD resistor in there. I wouldn't be able to. I kind of I want to do it there and then. Do you know what I mean? It's always the case. I always want to get something fixed there. I hate things spreading out over weeks, and yeah, I basically watched Chris's video last night, that's Gadget UK, and I wanted to do it there and then. That was 2 in the morning, you know? But I did well just to leave it until today. Let's say if it did work, then I could always swap it out at a later stage, because for me it's just a fact of is it working or not, rather than, you know, once I know this is working, then the fun of the fix is gone. And then I'd be quite happy to order some parts from China and let them just take weeks to arrive. But I reckon if this does work, I can't see that being a problem. Unless, for example, the extra weight of a resistor, but think about it, it's very light. I'm sure the track will be able to cope with the weight of a resistor. While I've actually got the IPA out, I am just going to clean up this track here, because you know the track that has probably caused the issue? Well, if you look at this side here, you can see that there's a load of old grease up this side. So just in case that's kind of gone old and gummed up a bit, I'm just going to clean that in there. And also this side in here. Look under the microscope, see what it looks like. Wow, not one to brag, but well, I am one to brag. Oh my god, that looks amazing. Let me show you, see if I can get a picture through the microscope. Right, so what you're looking at there is one solder pad off the resistor. Can you see there? It's nicely on it. Now we're going to go up. You can see this is where I've done the bending. That's the other pad underneath that it is hopefully clearing. Goes up. Can you see the resistor here? Look how big it is. All the way across here. All the way across. And we're going down the other leg. Got a bend there which is clearing everything. Goes around and onto there. And that's nicely on it. Right, okay, let's try to get some Kapton tape on here. That's fully on that pad now, so let's see if I can just wrap that around, stick it somewhere. Well, that's fully in there now. So I've managed to get it just underneath this one here, but as I say, it wasn't touching anyway, but just in case it was to move in the future. Well, we can zoom out now and we can see if we can get a resistance read, and hopefully it might read something similar to what we had before. Alright, so let's try and see if I can actually go on the pads rather than touching the resistor. Okay, I'm on the pads there now. Yeah, 1.47 kilo ohms. So I'm hoping now that that might put power back into the laser. So now let's concentrate on these gears here to see what could be causing this grating. Right, so the grating's happening. Hold on. There, that's where it feels rough. Right, I can see that there's a tiny little circlippy thing here keeping this in. This is like working on the watches again. Let's see if I can get under that to take that off. Really, I should get a bit of blue tack or something, because this could ping off. Okay, it's off. I've got it just here. So if you're ever unsure about taking it off, then what you can do is just get blue tack and then put it on top, and then you see when you lift it up like this, it's going to ping off, but the blue tack's going to keep it in place. Right, I'm just going to have a very quick look under the microscope to see what's going on here. So as you can see, we've got like a worm gear here between this wheel. Don't know if that's coming across. There you go, you can see now. Yeah, so it spins via normal teeth on that one, and then that spins there on that, and then the worm gear puts this one round here. Right, so let's check for broken gears to begin with. Right, okay, there's all horrible grease and stuff over this bit here. You can see it's all gooey and horrible, so I'm going to clean that with the IPA again. And I'm going to put fresh grease on it. Right, so there's definitely no brakes on that gear there. The pivot here is nice and straight, and this thing here, see if that's spinning nice. Right, that's spinning nice, so it doesn't look like the issues with the motor. Wonder whether the whole thing is just a little bit bent out of place. Right, now let's have an inspection of this gear here. Right, a tiny bit of grit in there, that could have happened just now, I don't know. Just a tiny bit of black, but I think that's probably happened now with me messing with it. I'm just going to check for broken gears around the edge. No, that all looks absolutely fine. I wonder whether it just got a tiny little bit misaligned. Let's see now if I can make it so it's smooth. No, it's still great in there, listen. Right, why is it great in there? What's it hitting against? Is it just this bit here? Do you know what? I wonder whether everything's just become slightly misaligned. I'm going to try to move that little pivot a tiny bit over this way. Also, how much play should there be on this one? So that's just on a tiny little spring. Okay, so obviously that's made to move a tiny bit, otherwise they wouldn't have the spring pushing it back. And it doesn't go any more that way, so it looks like the spring is still springy. You know, I think it feels alright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grease it up. So I'm going to use some mollycock grease, grease it up, and put it forward and back quite a few times and see if we can get it sorted. I'd love to see this little UMD drive work again, because I hate having a fault and not really knowing what the problem was. So let's put a little bit in here, and where it goes through here. And let's put a little bit over here. I wonder whether just a bit of grease at the very beginning would have helped it out, because maybe all the grease got pushed to either end rather than along the thing. 'Cause remember, these are getting old now. Just turning it over, and I'm just going to do a similar thing to this side here. Don't want to put too much on because it's going to be, I don't want any to get on the laser. Right, now let's put a bit on the gears. That feels pretty smooth. That does feel smooth, but it's not clipped down into place yet. That's the grease that I've been using. Right, let's try to put this tiny little circlip thing back in place. And I'm just going to push down on it. Right, there we go. Okay. Just going to wipe the top of the gears. Let's see what it feels like now. I'll tell you what, I can't feel any grating. Doesn't seem to be juddering. Let me go slow. No, that feels pretty good. Well look, I think it's worth a go. Let's get this back together and let's see if it's going to make any difference or not. Right, now rather than putting it in this one here, because this is now a working one, I'm going to put it back into the PSP 3000. I know it's got a faulty screen, but at least I will be able to see whether it's recognising the UMD drive or not. Right, so you can see it in its home now, and it looks like the resistor is clearing. Right, okay, so it's back together, so let's pop a battery in and let's see if we can get anything out of this drive. So let's turn it on to begin with. To be honest with you, I actually am quite hopeful, but I shouldn't really be, should I? Remember, the screen is cracked. Right, let me try to change it over to English. Okay, so we're in English. Right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, I can hear it spinning. No. It's not making the right noises. Oh, I thought that was going to work. Right, what's happening? Let me put this laser down. The thing is, it's not even spinning. Okay, that's spinning. Yeah, laser's moving up and down, but there's no red laser. Oh, I was sure that was going to work. No, there's no red. There's no red light coming out. Why is that now? If I've put the resistor in there, and it's the same ohm as the potentiometer, or very similar, I mean that's not going to make any difference. When I went from 138 down to 113, or 1.38 down to 1.13, the red light was still there. So basically, if there was like 3 or 4 mega ohms, which there was, that means there's loads of resistance and no power is going to get to the laser, so I can't have burnt it out because there was no power getting there. Oh, that's a real shame. I really thought that was going to work. Right, I'm going to pop this apart again just to see if there's anything, just in case that resistor is shorting. Maybe I'll try to set it all up just kind of when it's out in the open. The only thing is, when it's all separated, it's actually very hard to work on because the ribbon cables don't match up right. You have to put a load of paper under to stop it shorting out. But let me take it apart again and see if I've missed anything obvious. Right, okay, so I've got it stripped apart again, and I'm not sure if I did this now or whether it happened earlier, but basically, remember I went from the bottom pad to the top pad here, but remember the bottom pad's also connected to this pad here, so this is where it starts, it goes to this, and then it goes onwards. Well look, I've taken the Kapton tape off, and if I go between this pad here, and you see here I've got continuity on the probes, but I haven't on this leg. So what's happened is this resistor, can you see, has become loose and it's ripped off the pad. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to have to run a little wire between here and this part of the pad here, and then that will link it up to here, and then we'll see if that works. But I'm not 100% hopeful because I think this happened when I was messing around with it rather than beforehand. But I don't know, do I? This would suggest this is why there's no power getting to the laser again. What I'm wondering in my mind is, because I don't know much about electronics, surely 1.48 kilo ohms on a resistor is exactly the same as 1.48 kilo ohms on a potentiometer or anything else. I mean, an ohm is an ohm, isn't it? It doesn't matter where it comes from. I know this is a lot bigger than the potentiometer, but it's still measuring that resistance, so surely that should be the same no matter what it was. Even if that was 10 times bigger, it should still measure the same, shouldn't it, if that's what it's rated to. So I'm thinking in theory that I can't see why this wouldn't work. So I'm just going to try to solder a wire between here and here. Right, okay, so what I've done here is I tried to run the wire, but then basically the pad broke off completely, and then I didn't have enough legs left on the old resistor. So what I've done is I've got another one of exactly the same resistor, and I've put it here. Now it doesn't matter that this is touching the resistor down there because this isn't conductive anyway. So I'm going to see if it's working, and if it is, then what I can do is I can put like a hot glue gun on this bit from here to here to give it strength, and also a dollop there as well. But let's just see if it's working to begin with. Right, okay, let's see what happens now. Just turn it on. No, I'm not going to look directly at the laser, I'll look through the viewfinder. Right, here goes. Yes! Look at that, the red light's back. Amazing. Right, okay, what am I going to do now? Let's put a bit of glue gun on that before it breaks, and then I can put it properly back together and see if it works. If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, really there's not much more I can do with this, because I've freed all up the mechanism and stuff. We got the red light back again, which is amazing. So yeah, let's get the glue gun on it. Right, so I'm just going to put a little dollop in here. Whoops, wasn't supposed to hit the ribbon cable. There you go, that's all I need. Right, so there you go, you can see now that the laser is still going to bounce off that can still move in and out. So as long as that doesn't foul against the bottom, then I should be okay. So let's put it back together and see what happens. Right, because of the placement of the resistor, I've had to make a little hole in the plastic here, because you can see the resistor sticks out, and I need it to travel to go all the way over to the middle. So hopefully now with that hole it will allow it. Right, okay, so it's all back together. Now let's see if it's going to recognise it. Can hear a little bit of noise. Yes, I can hear movement. Come on now. That's brilliant. That's good noise. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes! Yes, look at that! It's done it! It's done it! Unbelievable. Right, okay, let me try a different game. And... oh, look at that. Fantastic. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to connect this up to the TV so you can see it in all its PSP 3000 glory. Oh, I wonder, is it actually going to play the games okay? Think it's going to do it? Yes, it has. Look at that. Capcom Classic Collection. Wow. Right, okay, let's connect this up to the TV. Okay, so I've got the PSP here. I've got my composite lead going up to the TV here. I'm on the correct input. So we're going to plug it into here. Now, it doesn't automatically come on. What we have to do is we have to hold down this button here until the symbol comes up on the screen. So don't let go yet. Still don't let go. Now you can let go when that comes up. And there we go, you can see now it's up on the screen. So let's get this set up with a bit of gameplay. So there we have it, a bit of Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It appears to be working fine. The game loaded straight away. I was able to select the game and stuff. I think that is going to be a working fix. Now on this one, when you connect it to the TV, you have to put it on zoom, because all that happens is it kind of has a small box in the corner. So if your TV hasn't got zoom, then it doesn't look as good as if you've got a TV with a zoom feature. PSP is such a good little handheld. Right, so that is it for this video. Do you know what? I'm so happy that I got that working. Obviously now I wish I'd watched Chris's video beforehand, because then I wouldn't have had to spend hours mucking around with it. But still, at the same time, it was a learning curve, and by doing that, you see, you gain more knowledge. I mean, I took this thing apart completely, so now I'm not scared to take it apart again in the future. And I think I'm going to look forward to working on these, because they're such a nice little handheld. Do you want to quit the game? Yes. So there you go, you can see now even with zoom I've still got a big border around the screen. And then if I want it to go back on here, all I have to do is unplug it from here. 1 second, let it just come up there. Now when it's on the home screen, you see it is full screen here. When I unplug it from here, it will go back onto here. Or you can leave this plugged in, and then to get back onto here you can just hold down this button here. So let's put it back onto the TV. Here we go. And now if I just tap that here, you will see it will go back onto here. Yeah. And then to get back on the TV again, you have to hold it down, because that just changes the brightness. So I've kind of made up my mind now that I will be getting a new screen for this, because I think it's well worth spending the £20 on it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please check out Gadget UK's video down below. If you haven't already subscribed to his channel, subscribe to it, because he's got so many videos throughout the years on various different systems. So yeah, that is it for this one. So happy that that little resistor and cleaning up those cogs got it all working again. So thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye now.